similarly authentic but relatively affordable Bandai model kits on Temu.
Mm.
And as far as I can tell, they are legit Bandai, but they're like a quarter, like a third of the price.
Mm.
So, and they're all at the local warehouse too. So,
So you're not going to have to deal with too much with the whole shipping, just domestic.
yeah,
That's nice.
yeah. Oh, I left the audio on my on the
Yeah.
video.
Yeah, I did the same.
I'm just scrolling through, and all of a sudden I hear me talking in the background. I'm like,
No, do not like that.
it's bad enough when editing videos.
Oh, dear Lord. Yeah.
Oh, which I'm also very happy about. The software that I've actually been wanting to get to start doing editing and videos again on
Yeah.
is actually on sale for $130 rather than $200. So
Yeah.
2 days time. So Tuesday, yeah, I'm getting that when I get paid.
Fair.
Yes. So how have you been?
I have been doing okay. Work's been all right. I am sort of like sitting and contemplating, like, okay, where I am at the moment. I'm enjoying what I'm sort of doing because I'm doing a split between like doing reports in the morning and then just covering the phones in the afternoon. That's a nice little split of things. I'm just finding that the management of resources is so piss poor that I often basically get told, like, hey, drop what you're doing. You're now on the phones for the morning. I'm like, okay, do I get a break? No, you don't. So I'm meant to be having like a morning break and an afternoon break if I'm doing only phones. I don't get that. Yeah. And you're then also supposed to, like, if you are doing a full-time telephony coverage, you're also then meant to have like 45 minutes once in a week to then go and like deal with all of the cases that you get from the phone calls. I don't get that either. So I am in a position where I am getting the worst end of both sides, which is pissing me off because I'm like, I really want to do my job properly, but the fucking management cannot comprehend or cannot get a grip of handling things. Now I understand it's not my immediate manager's fault. Hell, it's not even the guy who's managing and arranging all of our schedules, because all of them are under the same problem that for the last 2 years the company's been trying to sell my department, and to that end they've basically been going, yeah, like when I joined this company, the first week was like, hey, by the way, we are being sold. I'm like, okay, Joyce, well, let's see how this goes. Past probation, I'm like, okay, good. So I've got at least a little bit of job security. It went through. Eventually, they went like, oh, we're not going to fire people. I'm like, okay, that's good. I'm going to keep working here. And then it got revealed, like, okay, they've now partnered up with another company, and my department and like the equivalent of like 200 people are being shifted from the current company to another company, so that the original people who hired me doesn't have to pay as much salaries, and they can make it look like that they are making money to attract investors to their platform. While the partner company, who specializes in running day-to-day operations, is basically just going to come in and like streamline everything to make it nice and easy so that they can make money. So that's the background. And because of this, we've not been able to hire people to help us. So we've been on this. So the way it would work is that you came into the customer service department, You would pass your probation. You would immediately look for other jobs inside of the company and leave. So that's how it would basically work. You wouldn't stay in customer service. You would come in, you would pass the probation so that you could have a job there.
Yeah.
And then you would be going like, okay, I'm now going to look internally, like what other jobs can I go and interview for? Then you would do that and move to another department and get off doing customer service and do something else. So that's how it was working. And to compensate for that, there would be regular hirings. But that stopped since they was now being sold. So they're like, we can't hire people because that costs money and it takes time to train them. By the way, since we're not hiring people, all the positions that are created towards hiring and training people are now being made redundant, or they're now being moved to other departments.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. So all this is now, for the last 2 years, has now come towards a closure as I'm now being moved over towards a new company, or a different company. But yeah, it's just, I've got so many questions of like, what is my day-to-day job going to be like? And I mean, I've asked the question, but the answer is we don't know. We don't know what the day-to-day is going to be like because the managers have not been told how things are going to be transitioning. Some of these discussions are still on their way. So I'm like, okay, well, I don't really have much more to say. I'm just going to sort of like transition over, keep my job and just work and see how it goes. If I end up returning just to the telephones for full time, okay, that's what I guess I'm going to end up doing. And just see where it goes. My manager has even said that she has decided, or she looked at this and went, well, that's not the direction I want my career to go. So she's found a job within the current company. So she's shifted away. Which, fair enough. I don't blame her. I don't have the skills to actually move to another department. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm kind of stuck to where I am. I've done shipping before this. Nothing that can really translate into finances. Well, customer service can be translated.
Yeah, but that's not entirely true. I mean, you're already good with spreadsheets, so you've got that aspect of accounting down.
Yeah, I've got certain aspects of it. I will say though, like what you need to do with spreadsheets in this company versus basically there's a lot of like once you start getting away from telephones and more towards spreadsheet. Jesus Christ, like there's two routes you can go from what I've observed. You can either go down the route of like you're super good, you're on top of things, and like you are really into it, but that means that like you are not distracted, you are dedicated towards it, and I don't get that. When I was trying to do that, I would be constantly told like, we don't have enough people on the telephones, you now need to drop what you're doing and go on the telephones. We don't have enough of this, and I would start building up jobs from being on the telephones, and I'd have clients and financial advisor hassling me because they're like, well, we need this shit to be done. I'm like, okay, well, I need to do this and I need to do all the other things. So I could see that was just a road down towards like, I am not going to get fuck all done and I am just going to burn myself out. Because I ended up spending several bank holidays working just to stay on top of the workload. Yeah, I worked the Easter bank holidays and everything. Because I was like, the amount of work that I am involved in was to the point of where I can't do it in the day, in the work hours. So I mean, at the end of the entire thing, I told my manager, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I'd like to step away.
Question.
Sure.
Do you have workers' rights in the UK?
Workers' rights? Well, as in like you're not allowed to work above X amount of hours, or?
Well, you can, but if you do, it's like time and a half.
So we have that, but it needs to be agreed to. So I need to basically I need to tell my managers that I have to do this. So no, I suppose I don't. Because they could turn around and say like, "Oh, we don't approve that you work in this time. We didn't say that. We didn't know that. Or at least as far as I know, I've just gotten to the point where I don't want to be in a position where where I feel I have to do this just to stay on top of it. Because I was doing it because I couldn't get this shit done. I was drowning. I was behind. I would show up to meetings. I'd literally sit there and read the notes in front of everyone verbatim, realizing like I don't know what's going on anymore. So I'm like, well, yeah. So at that point, I just went, okay, cool. I'd like to step down from this. I don't want to do this. I can't do this. Which has basically got me questioned by our department managers, going like, why are you doing this? I'm like, because I am doing all these ridiculous hours, which they try to give me a hard time. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like you can't. If I am at a position where I feel I have to start doing this, and that's a failing upon the department, but at the end of the day, I'm not being managed.
Yeah.
So anyway, I stepped down from that, so I'm not involved in it anymore. But I'm sort of looking at it as like, okay, I'm still getting shafted as it is. So
yeah, because like that's just like your right as a worker here in Australia.
I think it's the same here in the UK. The problem is I get into too many times where they're like, oh, but can you justify why it is? I'm like, I can't be bothered to have these conversations. It's just like as I've tried to explain to my manager, like it's a bigger bother for me trying to go through and justify all of this and explain why I'm having to do all of this than me just saying like I've had to do this because why would I lie about doing overtime? Like I don't want to. It's not my interest. Time and a half is really not anything that incentivizes me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like here you would just contact the Fair Works Commission and just that it would be resolved.
Yeah. No, my contract states that if I go above X amount of hours, I have to contact HR over the labor department. That's what they say. Because they want to resolve it internally and not get fined. Legally, they can't do that.
Man, things are weird in the UK. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Like, since Brexit, there's been a number of laws that's come in that's actually diminished workers' rights, as far as I'm aware. Brexit has not been a positive. I thought. Oh my god! I used to think, like back when it was all being advertised, I was like, "Oh, okay, this sounds like a good idea. I don't like the idea of the European Union." Now I've seen the effects of it. I'm like, no. The European Union it's got its flaws, but fuck me, the workers, like the work and all the benefits of it is far outweighs everything else. Like, yeah, there's some bureaucrats in Brussels who sit and go like, okay, all candles has to be measured of X size to make sure there is uniformity across all products, which ultimately is to make sure that whichever candle of certain type that you buy will always fit into the candle holders. So it's like, okay, well, it makes sense.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of funny because since a news report came out a couple of days ago, lovingly, once again, about my favorite party to talk about, political party to talk about, there's been increased discussion about like what Australia's role is and who our allies are and things like that, and what certain parties would actually bring to being the ones in government. And the amusing part is that the current government seems to be, and I'm not really sure whether I should really be giving the game away, but there's fuck all no one watching, so who gives a fuck? But basically, to me, it looks like our government is setting up to create a kind of EU situation with our Pacific neighbors.
Yep.
Because there's already a bunch of defense stuff going on in the Pacific, from like basically from Singapore going up around the Pacific and then up to Japan, all creating a defense pact with Australia. And then on top of that, we're increasing diplomatic connections with all of those countries as well. And we've recently begun environmental visas for Pacific countries that are having their nations swallowed up by the rising water tides. So if you're from one of those countries, you can very easily get a visa to come live in Australia while the government attempts to save the country. And if they can't, you have permanent status in Australia.
Which is a very good thing, in my opinion. Like you're trying to look out for your neighbors and, well, not let the what's it called, global warming swallow them whole.
Yeah. But it seems to be the first step in this kind of growing economic governmental relationship that's going on, because they're also expanding it to creating what would you call it? Standardizations of education in fields like medical and engineering and technology.
Right, yeah.
So we already have something like that with New Zealand, and New Zealand and Australians can basically pass without a visa between the two countries. It looks like a lot of the Pacific countries like Fiji and things like that are now starting to get that with us as well. And then it seems like we're currently in negotiations with Japan to try and do something like that too. And it's all becoming very interesting. Anyway, it reminded me of the EU. Except, Asia.
I'll be very transparent. I'm seeing more benefit from the setup of the EU that it's having. I mean, I know when it started out, it was just like, oh, we need to have an easier way for us to trade with one another. Let's have a unified currency. It's like, okay, well, it's a massive hassle. Don't get me wrong. More than what I can probably comprehend.
Yeah, but now the euro is freaking more powerful than the USD. Yeah. So long-term benefits has really paid off.
It really has, and it's just, again, like, you've got so many different economies supporting one another. Yes, we've got periods like the 2008 stock crash and everything else where certain countries like Greece dragged down the euro because like they were doing things that was just horrific, and the EU turned around and was like, we can't bail you out. You need to really sort your shit out. This is not a free handout. You need, like, a part of this agreement is you have to be able to maintain these things. Which I know the Greeks were fuming about because they felt abandoned, but it's like, your politicians have allowed certain things and practices that are not very beneficial. And that's now come back to bite you now that the rest of us are struggling. Because what was it like? There was a whole discussion back then of like, oh, should Greece be kicked out of the EU due to their impact towards the European? I was like, no. They went through the 10-year process of being brought in. So they've got a right to stay. Which fair. Although I think the European Union has now gone a bit weird with their things. Was it like Turkey's wanted to be a part of it, but they didn't want to go through any of the scrutiny that you meant to? Which is like, no. And I think one of the demands that the European Union has is that they have to admit that the Armenian genocide occurred. And they're like, what happened? When? Where? Where in our history books can you see this? And like, it's not really what we're talking about. But that was a different place. That was the Ottoman. We're Turkey. We've rebranded twice.
Nice catch there, by the way. Rebranded twice.
There's a 2-step separation, further and further away. Oh, the kool, that was the last country that existed. Yeah.
It's like technically, Australia did not have the Commonwealth of Australia did not have troops in World War One.
True.
This is true because the Imperial Australian Army, that was a segment of the British Empire, was the one that was in the war, and we no longer have any Imperial Army.
Love that.
Also, we're a Commonwealth now.
It's all down to technicalities.
Yes. Which apparently, we're in the same boat because apparently both Europe and Australia are communists now. Did you know that? I heard the Führer of America say it.
I did hear that as well, yes.
Never not be funny. Oh, dear.
Looking into that, I was like, what the fuck was going on there?
For the 250th birthday of our nation, let's double down on communism and imperialism. Can't see anything wrong there. Reinforce the division. Like, whoever the hell his CIA handler is, he clearly doesn't know who it is, and they are doing a really good job. My God.
I imagine the CIA handler when his superiors are like, why didn't you keep him in check? It's like, do you know how hard it is for him to take his pills? Do you know how hard it is? He literally, like, we have to put him into his food, and then he goes to McDonald's, and we don't know which one. There's so many of them. We can't all have them on the payroll.
I love the fact that the fucking Yanks have set up I don't know if you've heard of this, the Pentagon Pizza Tracker.
Yes, I have heard of this.
Yes.
I'm aware of this. I am fully aware that once the rise of pizzas occur into the Pentagon, war is about to happen.
Oh man,
it's like, could you at least try to be a little bit more subtle about these things? It cannot be that hard, but apparently it is.
Oh yeah, very much so. It's I swear
should
God,
not be laughing.
Why not?
No.
Oh my God. A podcast with my Prime Minister dropped this morning.
Yeah.
This morning, my time. And by the afternoon, one of the major news networks was like pushing out these news articles and stuff about how much of a disgrace it was. Because he answered these questions and whatnot. And it's like, it's a comedy podcast. He was playing along and having fun. And quite frankly, people on almost every side of the aisle are being like, I may not like him, but that was a pretty fucking funny podcast.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with the news that they are just like, oh, he should be ashamed of how he behaved. Oh, blah, blah. It's like, oh my God, you out of touch fucking dinosaurs. Like, he should be disgraced. You people are so out of touch. I'm surprised you're not crude oil. Oh man. Sorry, yeah.
No, like I absolutely understand. It's just one of those things of like, at the end of the day, even a prime minister, they're still human. If they're going on a comedy podcast, they're not there to, I mean, they will be pushing certain agendas, but they're still there to be making fun of things. If it's themselves, the opposition, even their colleagues, they'll be like, yeah, no, that's absolutely correct. Like, hell, like, I'm going to take the UK, like during COVID, there were many of the conservatives who didn't follow, the lockdown rules.
Yes.
That would be prime stuff to be poking fun at. It's like, hey, it's a really serious thing. It's so serious. We need to find love in the middle of all this chaos, which is why we are breaking down barriers and snocking till our heart's content, which may or may not result in some emergency lockdowns amongst even ourselves.
Actually, that's funny that you should phrase it that way, because one of the things that he floated around, because I watched it this morning, right?
Yeah.
One of the things he floated around, because he was asked, oh, are there any former prime ministers you hang out with? And he said, oh, yeah, Kevin Rudd and his wife. And, oh, yeah. And basically the back and forth subtext was, oh, yeah, the one that got cooed, yeah, by the Americans. Like, it was very quick, but it was like, oh, we are just publicly acknowledging that, yeah, it was the Americans who got Kevin Rudd kicked out of office. Cool. I'm glad we can start reinforcing that fucking conspiracy theory, which is not conspiracy theory because it's the second time they've done it.
Yeah.
Allies.
Yeah. I mean, how like it's I was talking to one of my American players back when the whole thing with Greenland was going on, and because Denmark at the time was basically sitting in some of the meetings, and they were saying things that were statistically true, but they weren't like, oh, per capita, Denmark has suffered the most wounds and deaths compared to anyone else that was going into the Middle East. We didn't have a very high quantity of soldiers that was being sent out there in comparison to the US, but it was statistically true. We were throwing ourselves into situations that were very dangerous. We were also trying to then establish and rebuild areas that were harmed, like damaged by the American army when they came in. We'd come in and be like, all right, well, let's rebuild this. Let's rebuild trust. Let's do this. Let's fight off the insurgents to make sure these areas can be done. Probably we're trying to do the entire rebuilding and, actual hearts and minds. So when Trump was saying like, oh, you've done nothing to help us, it's like, the fuck? We've been backing you from the very beginning. Not like we've been backing you, the US, from numerous events that has later been turned out like probably shouldn't have been a part of this. And we've turned around and said, it's part of the duty of being a part of NATO and to be a member of this is that we have to commit to defending one another, and that's what we've done. Was it the right thing? No, sure. History's 2020, which is something I think we're slowly learning from, at least in my opinion, because we've now picked our own fights of supporting Ukraine. You're going full in, but like not because of NATO, more because of moral beliefs. We're also now turning around saying, right, we're not going to rely solely on NATO and the US for defense. We're now going to try and build up our own defense budgets, our own army to actually have some of the equipment that is needed to do this. There is criticism that's come Denmark's way, like, why are we still buying American equipment? Surprisingly, Europe does not really have an industry that can produce the quality of weaponry that America has, because they've had how many decades of intense development?
I will put a slight caveat that technically Germany is getting up to the quality, but they don't have the quantity capacity.
True. Like Germany has definitely like reached up to like the specialization. They've also been hampered by having several governments and chancellors who have gone, oh, we don't want any of this. That would be looking bad, like a repetition of history. I'm like, no, if you want a repetition of history, imagine Napoleon, but Russian. Except without a logistical understanding and a massive and a fuck ton of bodies.
Although I have to say, I find it funny that the general like public consensus over here in Australia about Germany building up its like military, its arms capability and all that hasn't been seen as, oh no, the Nazis are coming back. It's been seen as, oh good, they're on our side this time.
Yeah.
Third time's the charm.
Amen. What you should do.
Yeah. But like I get that because the same criticism has been leveraged on Australia as well. And then there's a retarded comeback for it as well. And I'll go over it. So here we've had the we've been trying to phase out slowly the reliance on America by creating an industry here, which is why we've been focusing on their tails, providing more funding to like BAE Australia, all that, right?
Yep.
And basically it's to provide us with the capability to start creating and manufacturing and distributing our own technology, which has resulted in people who clearly have an anti-war agenda being like, well, we can already get all this stuff from the US. And it's like, yes, but they're not very trustworthy now, are they?
No.
And then you've got other people who are being like, well, Tails Australia has been supplying weapons and munitions and stuff to like insurrection forces across the Pacific and in Southeast Asia as well. What, you know, and we're dealing with like, you know, blood money with them. And it's like, okay, but that's bad. And we should probably do something to penalize them for that. But if we're going to do that, we should probably up our ante of production, buying weapons and stuff from them so that they're not being encouraged to sell them to other people. You know? And it's like, the way to do that is to then make them want to sell everything to us. But you don't want us to give them money so that they sell to us because they've sold to bad people. But you don't want to fix the cycle. And it's like, motherfuckers. Because it's a really annoying thing, right? I've always had the philosophy that to improve something, you need to actually do something.
Yep.
Because doing nothing is as good as, you know, giving up and doing the complete opposite. You know, what's the point in doing that then? But if any small amount towards the target that you want to get to is better than doing nothing. So why criticize if you're only doing a small amount when you could be doing nothing? That's never made any sense to me.
No.
And it's like everyone's right now in Australia, the I can't remember what it's called. The housing negative gearing tax is being abolished, but it's being grandfathered in for people who have already gotten negative gearing properties. So it's basically just stopping the action from now on, right?
Yeah.
But the media and certain lobby groups and all that are pushing all across the media that it's a bad thing because they're going to be affected by it. But the whole time, this has caused housing. Like, I bought my house for $350,000. It is now worth almost $700,000 as of last week. I bought the house 3 years ago.
Fucking hell.
That's a ridiculous scale. That should be 20 years, not 3. So any push to start lowering house prices should be seen as a good thing, not as a bad thing. But they're framing it as a bad thing. And even the ones who are saying that this needed to stop are saying, well, it's not enough. And it's like, so you wanted nothing to happen? I don't understand the idiocracy here.
No, me neither. I mean, we're seeing a housing shortage in the UK, but that's an artificial creation because land is being bought up by equity companies who are building the equivalent of what I want to call canned fish. What do they call it again? Sardine cans.
Oh,
Like they're just crammed in together. Like there's a plot of land that would have a fantastic single house there, but I've near my in-laws. But I've now learned, no, they're making 2 very small houses there to maximize how much they can get out of it.
they do the same thing here.
Yeah.
They'll take a plot of land where a single house was and put 3 what we call stamp houses on them.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like,
that's what we're seeing. And then we have the councils and the governments prioritizing, asylum seekers to get in. Fine, like I understand we need to help. However, we're seeing the amount of quote unquote asylum seekers being in the millions, and it's having such a negative effect that people can't find houses. The demand for houses is now so high that it's honestly terrifying. And a lot of people are saying, I'm not going to own a house. I'm going to stay with my parents. And they are now, then the question then boils down to like when the parents pass away, what is going to be done with the house? Because they won't be able to pay the inheritance tax that the UK is now also placing upon it, meaning at the end of the entire line, when they are meant to inherit it, they will have a massive fine to pay it all off just to stay there, or they will end up being homeless. The job market is now so low, which is a mixture of fake jobs. Basically, I mean, you're probably aware of this, like fake jobs, espionage, where people are trying to get people of competence to apply for things and handle and get into positions where they can leech them out of information. There is companies who are doing it because they want to make it look like, oh, we're succeeding, we're looking for so many job opportunities but never hiring, and then there are scams. That's like 4 instances where you're not going to find a job. You're now competing against many other people, not to mention AI applicants who are just mass spamming the world.
Yep.
So it's in terms of like the housing and all that. I don't think my house has increased a lot in its value, but I know for a fact that like the market out there is. I mean, it was already crazy when I was looking. It's only gotten worse, and the interest rate has now run so amok. That come towards the end of this year, my wife and I, we are gonna be looking to see what we can do. I'm a bit concerned for when it gets to that because we're gonna have to like see what we can find, and it's in my interest that if we can find it, because I know in Australia there are mortgage brokers that can find much better deals. They get kickbacks from the banks for moving customers around because the banks are not interested in maintaining that relationship anymore. It's become banks have become like insurance companies. You use them for a short time and then you dump them and you move to the next one. Not because that's what they want, but that's because of how they treat you and how they've set up their own business model. Short-term gains for them.
Yeah.
You go on.
Oh, I was going to say, it's actually kind of funny you should mention mortgage brokers because, yeah, we used a mortgage broker to get the small loan that we needed for our house. And because we were about 50 grand short, including the signage fees and stuff, right?
Yep.
And he ended up getting us onto what's called Home Start, which is a government funding loan service.
Right.
So minimal interest rates, all that stuff. No extra hikes on top of things. No scummy practices that the banks do, basically.
Yeah.
And at this rate, by about 2040, so by about the time the kids are finishing up high school, our loan will be done. And that's just paying $200 a fortnight.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have that in the UK as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
The most we get is like, oh, it's your first time buying, you don't have to pay stamp duty. Fucking hell. Mind you, that can be like tens of thousands of dollars or pounds as well. So it's like,
yeah. They just removed that here in Australia as of July 1st, which that was $12,000 on top of the buying the house. So yeah, that was great. But yeah, fuck. Yeah, the stamp duty, I tell you.
it's just the more I learn, things like this is just like there's so many ways that the government is squeezing you out of money that that's been multiple times where I've just sat and gone like, what would it cost me to just get a transit van, deck it out to live in it, and just become nomadic? Because the main thing that they can tax me is road tax and income tax. They can't charge me for the council because I'm technically homeless. So it's like, how are you gonna, like, all the homeless people, are you gonna be demanding taxes from them? Like, how? What money? What accounts? Like, you can't do that. It's the usual thing of like, oh, you need to have a home. It's like, it's not illegal to be homeless, otherwise you'd be having a hell of a problem to deal with. But it's just one of those things I was looking at. Go on.
Oh, I was going to say, also, can't you set up like a PO box with the postal service too for your mail? So
yeah,
it
can easily be done.
Yeah. So what's their problem?
Exactly. So it was just one of those things I was looking at. I was like, there's so many things you can get around, and then at the end of the day, it's like you do that until you're what, like 65, 68, depending on when the retirement age is going to be kicking in. And then you can just sort of like check out. And at that point, you could go like, okay, well, you probably have more than enough in your own bank to, again, assuming that you actually do savings, and you might turn around and go like, okay, I've got, let's say, 40,000 in your savings after X amount of years, and you go, right, all the savings now go straight into your pension, and let that build and compound.
You guys don't have super, do you?
Have super what?
Superannuation?
I'm aware of annuities, not annuations.
Okay. basically back in 80s, I think it was 90s, something around that. The government set up a program where part of your tax goes into a government fund that you get to check out. As long as you're working, money goes into that account. That once you retire, you get access to that money as a retirement fund, as well as the benefits of retirement from the government.
No, we don't have that.
Oh man, you want to come live here? It's pretty good.
It sounds more appeasing. Yeah, it's like you've actually got your shit together. No, what happened here is after 2008, HMRC, or the retired customs tax department, realized that in order to bail out all the banks, the government had to slash into people's pensions to get the money.
God damn.
Yeah. So that happened back then. And what they did in response to that, once they bailed everyone out, they printed more money to cover up for. Yes, yeah, I know. Not cover up, but like to empty that piece so that the labor and pension department could make sure that people got the minimum. And then they turned the bill around and said it is now a legal requirement for everyone to have their own private pension, because the government cannot guarantee a state pension towards everyone that contributes into their national insurance. Meaning, when I go to the government website and I look at like what can I get at the end of it, the amount that I will get from them is going to be the same as everyone else, which will qualify for just around £12,530, which is what I'm allowed to take a year. That's about £1,000 a month that I have to live off from without being taxed. That's all that the government will give me, everything that I put in throughout the 40 to 50 years of working. That's what I'm going to be guaranteed for X amount of time. Again, the more I put into it, the longer I can take from that pot. But they will cap how much I can take out, because the money is going to be taken elsewhere. But wait, Seraphis, it's about to get better. So, Keir Starmer has acknowledged that there is a massive gap of several billions in the government's records that needs to be covered. They're doing that by saying that as of April the 1st, 2029, if you contribute, I think it's like more than £2,000 into your personal pension from basically, if you say I'm going to cut out my salary and give more of my salary towards my pension, if you contribute more than £2,000 a year to your personal pension via that route, they will tax it. You cutting out your personal pensions via your income and lowering your direct income by paying that into your company pension will be taxed if you pay more than £2,000 into it a year. Meaning, starting as of 2029, I am going to have to cut down my personal contribution, my direct setup to my pension accounts, because otherwise I will lose money doing that. It is more incentivized for me to take it out to my personal account, get it taxed, for me to personally then send the money into whatever pension account to get that tax reimbursed into that account to circumvent that. I have to get my money taxed to get it reimbursed if I want to have it into my personal pension. You can understand why I am not exactly thrilled about some of these setups.
We have something similar. You will get taxed for putting X amount of money into your pension, but it's per year, and it's in excess of $1 million. So if you go past 1 million, or it's like 800,000, they are lowering it. But basically, if you contribute out of the normal super amount that comes out of your paycheck, or that goes from your employer to your super, that's not part of your paycheck, rather, that complicated system anyway. Any more that you put into it from your paycheck, if at the end of the financial year it exceeds like 800,000 or 1 million or whatever it is, that's when you get taxed. Basically, it's taxing the rich who go about finding loopholes to not pay taxes.
Surface, I don't think your blood pressure is high enough. Allow me to raise it.
No, I don't want to say one thing. I just want to say one thing. Just one thing. You know, your government could just tax London City, those corporations, and get their money in like a month, right?
They could. They could actually. I mean, I can go into so many other things they could do, but like, fuck me.
And
as it stands right now, if I contribute, I am capped. Everyone is capped to only putting in their personal pensions. They're capped to only putting between 60 to 80,000 pounds into that a year. Otherwise, you are fined. Why am I not allowed to put more money into my personal pension if I have the money for it? But apparently it's to keep things fair and to force, here's my suspicions, is to force people to put it into a general investment account, because the moment you earn money on a general investment, the government can tax you.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
For realized gains. So you can't put money, you're limited for 20,000 into an ISA account. You're limited to 60 to 80,000 for your personal pensions if you want to retire. By the way, you're not allowed to touch your pension account until you hit the ripe age of 55 years old, like for your personal.
When COVID hit, the government in power did an emergency act, which hasn't been properly turned around yet because it was Emergency Powers Act, which allows people now to access their super fund money. And the government at the time encouraged it to spend and pay off your loans or buy a house with it. Keep in mind, people my age basically have gotten the benefit to have super from the time it started. In theory, people of my age group, when we retire, we should be retiring with somewhere around $2.4 million of super. And we still get the benefit of the public pension, retirement pension, and healthcare system. Public healthcare system.
Something's wrong in the UK.
And here's the thing. All through COVID, I heard people saying, yeah, I'm going to get money out of my super. And I'm like, oh my God, no, don't. You're going to cut that like over 2 million that you're going to get in your super to like 800,000 if you take any. It seemed tempting. Don't believe this government. They are fucking you over. Yeah. And now the current government is doing everything they can to try and fix it, but some damage is already done.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you can't recover that, something like that. You've opened the floodgates for a temporary fix for an economy. I don't even imagine your economy was suffering that much. Fuck, most economies were actually benefiting from the lockdowns. Not that they was a good, like, don't get me wrong, I don't think that they were good. I did have a boost here, but like there's been psychological damages that's been done.
Yeah, but I think a lot of that psychological damage was implemented a lot by people And I think that's why a lot of Australians got through it. And a lot of what people saw overseas about Australians being confined in lockdown and stuff was from people who lived to work, not worked
Yeah.
to live. Because in Australia, we pride ourselves on a work-life balance.
Yeah.
And these people all seem like those types that I'm going to call it the American style.
Yeah, you work yourself to death and you're happy about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Like these people, I imagine, have, and you see them streaming during lockdowns and stuff, because they put up on TikTok and all the rest of that bullshit and Facebook. And like, you look at their houses and it's like, you've got no personality in your house. You've got like ornaments for decoration. Where's some fun books? Where's some stuff just lying about? Where's a just like a novelty fun blanket on the couch that you snuggle up with? You people have nothing. Nothing. You've made your lives about being anywhere else but home. You've caused that damage to yourself. I'm harsh, I know.
no, like I don't disagree with you.
But and yeah, it's like, because in SA we only had, so SA sounds bad when you say it on the internet. In South Australia,
I was going to say South Australia. It's the region.
We had lockdowns for about 2.5 months.
Yeah.
But on the East Coast, like Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland, theirs went for longer because people kept breaching them. So the government had to keep extending them. Victoria, I think, ended up with like 6 to 8 months of trying to continue to enforce the lockdowns to try and get rid of the worst part of the spread infection, to try and take as much off of the healthcare system as possible. And all the news that I've now found that went international is about basically the absolute cunts that violated lockdown. I was like, how much of a selfish fucking bitch do you need to be? And I'm saying this as someone who had a fucking kid during COVID. Grim got pregnant before the thing even happened, so it's not like we were like, oh, I guess there's nothing else to do, let's make a baby. No, there was no COVID. Whoopsie baby happened. Then as it's coming up to him being born, COVID stuff. And then the second kid, surprise attack. And that's in the middle of the lockdowns. And it's like, well, gee, this is going to be fun. And, babies, they need vaccinations. Until they have those vaccinations, when they get to 6 months, they are vulnerable to diseases. So people going around violating, like, people just don't seem to understand virulent control schemes. And I'm sure you can appreciate a good need for spreadsheets and containments and stuff.
Yeah, I understand. I understood it. I mean, I followed it. I can't say like at the time that I was happy about some of the things that they were saying, which fine. But I just resorted to like, fine, I'm just gonna stay home. Like I'm not gonna. I don't like it, but like I can also opt out of being part of society for this period. I'm just gonna do that. Like it's the whole thing. Like I usually end up having like two beliefs. Like yes, I disagree with it, but two, I'm gonna keep my beliefs against myself. that like what I think is a sensible thing. Like I'm not gonna go out and do like, oh, I'm gonna do this, which technically, it's gonna potentially harm others. No, I could go and do these things, and then that will be a me problem.
Sorry, I took over again. This
That's all right.
conversation is getting quite. Yeah. Quite not the direction I thought it was going to go.
That's fair enough. What I can do is I can change the direction.
Yes.
If it would let me, there we go.
Huzzah.
We need blood and gore in this coming session. We need players to die. So, let me quickly summarize. We did a whole bunch of haggling with the Strixes. Are you familiar with who the Strixes are from 40k? Do not worry, I will show you who the Strixes are. You see, the Strixes is this race here. Back then, they were made to basically be like, hey, this is the equivalent of the Skaven. Like, but they're going to be merchant people showing up and be like, oh, we're going to be doing this. We may betray you. We may not, but we may betray you. And it's like, I don't like that. I'm just going to have this roaming nomadic group of sleazy merchants who is just like, welcome. Please come in. I have wares. The Khajiits from Skyrim.
Or Ewoks. Not Ewoks. Jawas.
Yeah, Jawas, exactly. Like that's what I like about them. So like this is what I'm going to play upon. But you see, my dear Seraphis, there's a lovely little snippet about them, which is they love doing flesh crafting. So they have got clone vats, gene splicing, all of that delicious stuff that they work upon, which often means that you don't know if you're dealing with the original or if you're dealing with a clone. So when they went to deal with them, I had many, many, many different variants of these Strixes that they had to deal with. All of them 4'7", 140 centimeters, all lining up, perfectly height, perfectly matching with their clothing, all of them looking at the characters. And when they were walking around, they would...
And all of them named Zathras?
Well, they were all named differently, using the same name of Streisen, just shuffling the letters around or changing something around.
Nice.
That's funny. The entire setup was the players were like, oh, we'd like to, because this is the first time where I went like, okay, you're going to have access to what I have called the Quanathi. It's actually just the Tau. But these guys are like, hey, we have a bunch of shit from the Tau. Are you interested in buying? And the player's like, okay, this could be interesting. So they go into it. And I'm like, okay, this can easily be like 2 or 3 sessions of us just doing bartering. I'm not going to do that. So what I've done is I've pre-rolled everything. And I tell them like, okay, here's what you're buying. Here is the difficulty you have to beat to not be penalized, because you do bartering, then you do commerce. If you fail your bartering, you're penalized in your commerce. If you pass your bartering and you get bonuses, like if you roll above 0, you then benefit into your commerce roll. And you want to win in your bartering, because if you fail in that, what the Strixes will do is that they'll go, oh, by the way, we will offset you not being able to like win this bartering competition by saying, we just need a little something from you, like just something. Can you get like the name of your navigator? Would you tell us your favorite system that you've visited so far? Things like that, where you're going, oh, that could be dangerous. Or other things that can be like, oh, That doesn't sound too bad.
Or could we just get your date of birth and your mother's maiden name?
Yeah, exactly. Things like that. And there's a thing. I mean, the players were role playing certain things, and there was a point where I just went, I don't know if you're role playing or if you are genuinely not remembering certain things. So I had to correct or step in and be like, you guys do remember the X, Y, and Z. And they're like, yeah, but here's what we believe. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm going to shut up and like just leave you to it. The Strixus hates the Eldar. Like outright, absolutely hate them. They will attack them at any site. And it kept on being a repetitive theme that they would bring up. It's like, oh, by the way, yes, we've heard that you fought the Eldar and so on. May we have your battle report on that? And the players are like, yeah, we're going to have to heavily redact it because we don't want them to know how we are moving, our tactics. So they were sitting and like having to do like rolls of like redacting and like censoring all the information of like how they were winning. And the Strix was like, oh, yes, delicious. We like this. There are big black lines in this report. The players like, yeah, because you're not meant to know this. Oh, no. We just think it's very neat. But then one of the players, I was like, oh, yeah, I fought the Eldar. Now, that player knows nothing of 40k. He's been playing for a year and a half. He still doesn't remember the difference between Drukhari and Eldari.
I mean, so one's kinky and one's not, so that's... Yeah.
Exactly. And so he began like talking about like, oh yeah, I fought the Eldar, I've defeated them, yada yada yada, forgetting that he actually fought the Drukhari, which meant that all of these guys suddenly huddled around him and went, oh, please show us your scars, oh great warrior. And did it hurt when it penetrated your skin? Yes, look, there is still a scar running down here. I'm like, they were almost, touching him, and they had to go like, no, baff, don't touch the goods. And that's when they were like, oh, would you like, Tau battle suits? And they're like, yeah, we'd be quite interested. We just need some small samples from him. And they point towards the arch-militant who fought the Dark Eldar. And the player almost having a moment of going, wait, what? What's happening? Oh, don't worry about it, my dear warrior. We're just bartering of getting some samples from you. I was like, what do you mean samples? He wasn't sure, like, if it was like, do you just mean like hair? I was like, no, dear warrior, that's not thorough enough. They were going to be dumping him down into a vat base and get a lot more than just hair from him. But they had to like barter themselves out of that because this group became obsessed about their arch-militant. So that sort of like went in circles here and there. Now, technically, there were multiple things that were happening. The players were scanning them, which they were like, yeah, that's fine. We don't mind that you scan us. That's perfectly fine. Because they're like, oh, we need to know like how strong they are, so on and so on. That's fine. They're like, we're not gonna fight you on this. So while you were next to one another, they were scanning them, but the Strixus has an item that allows them to scan you, and you don't know it. And then they scanned their support ship, and they've got full details on both ships. The players have an item that's called the Tenebro Mace, which means that the Strixen knows what components that the players have, but they don't know where in the ship it is. It's obfuscated by the way that they move their energy around. Their support vessel, on the other hand, does not have this. And they now know the exact layout of the entire ship. And remember, the Strixen sells everything when they meet other people. So they are going to be selling the schematics and war components of the players. The players got a bunch of components as well, and yes, they did actually end up buying clone vats to clone people.
Okay.
They also got a component to explore and do genetic modification to xenofauna and agriculture to enhance the usage of planets, or to introduce life forms into planets to cultivate a certain end result, be it microscopic, within the fish ecology, all of these other things that allows them to basically play God in that sense. And then they got some components where it's like, hey, you can now install the equivalent of you've got the component to basically gather up aliens and keep them in a pen and move them around, or you have the technology to move very dangerous alien technology or items without you risking the warp fucking you over when you go flying around. So they've got proper containment methods for alien things that they didn't have before. Here's the thing that was my trump card that I got them to be in part of, which is going to be hilarious. For me, not for them. The Streisen has been saying over and over and over that they would like the players to go and that they don't like Eldar. So they've agreed that they're going to go in on a military contract against a Corsair prince.
Yep.
Wait, there's more, because I am tying this back in together to something that happened last year. The players, when they came to this place over here, ended up having to fight 6 Eldar ships. They destroyed like 3 or 4 of them, and the other 2 ran away. Those ships belonged to a Corsair Baron. That Corsair Baron answers to this guy, and the group has taken 15 Eldari stones, gemstones, and handed them over to the Inquisition. The prince has finally figured out, after about a year's worth of investigation, rather quick by Eldar standards, what has happened, and that they will never recover those 15 people. So, he wants revenge. He wants the death of 15 trillion humans, not trillion, but 150 billion humans to be exchanged for those 15 souls that's now been lost. How would he go about that? I have an answer.
Yep.
You see, there is another faction that I've been warning the players about, which is a radical Magus Biologists group who are doing experimentations upon humans, because by the law of 40k in present tense, there is a rise of psychers. This biologist department, known as the Sturgeon, or the Strigion, I can't remember the exact pronunciation of them. They are, the Stygian, here we go. The Stygian Order are studying and trying to find a way of increasing the psychic potential of humans. The Eldar and this order have decided that we both don't like this rogue trader house. What do you need to go and fuck some things up? So the Eldar made an attack against the players' agricultural world, which is a swamp world, which has very specific biological components that is not good if you force it into an ecology that is not made to handle such things. Swamps breed certain bacteria, as I'm sure you know, Seraphis, that you don't like. If you just take this up and plop it somewhere else, it's going to be quite invasive towards the other biology.
Yep.
So they have raided that planet. They have dropped it down by a population number of like 1, which is tens of thousands of humans have died. They bombed out like infrastructure, murdered people, and like raided their defense departments by horrific standards. They're now recovering from that, and they're sending a frigate over that they've rebuilt to basically go and serve as like a permanent defense. They used to have like a raider class ship, one of the smallest ships, to basically be like, oh, we are here to patrol this place. Yeah, that shit got vended and killed in an hour and a half by these Eldar coming in. So the Eldar's gone here. They've grabbed a metric ton of information and stolen all of the data banks from the system. Now the players are like, oh, well, this doesn't really make sense. Like, one of the players even went like, oh, this is absolutely retarded. Why would they do this? Why would they be so overt in their attack? Well, it's twofold. One, they know that the Inquisition's here. They want the Inquisition to come running and looking for them. Now, thankfully, the Inquisitor has passed his intelligence role and has gone, no, they want me to go there. I need to look elsewhere. Like, I can't go chasing them on their terms. The Admiral has basically gone, I need to make sure that our food is defended. So he's going to increase the patrols in that area, which means that the area over here is going to be exposed. So the Stygian Order are now sending out a couple of vessels to pop in, send out some torpedoes, and pop out, basically sending out the equivalent of an environmental virus bomb to the agricultural support systems. Not virus bombs as in like the entire planet's going to collapse down, but virus bombs in the sense that food is going to start declining year after year. And they will be doing this, having their transponders off so that you can't see whose flag they fly, but they have rebuilt the prow of their ships to mimic some of the other ships that the players own. So that's what
sweet Jesus.
That's what the makers are doing. The Eldar are getting ready to. They are basically calling up the other like free barons, and they're going to go to war. They're going to start raiding supply lines. They are going to be making this area that used to be very safe. That's going to become very unsafe very soon, and they're going to start going hunting for the players.
Jesus Christ.
Things are piling up.
I mean, it's 40k. That's bound to happen, so...
Yeah. So that's what's going on there. That's what's happening in the background. That's the bullshit that's about to occur. Like, the next report that's going to come out is going to be like, all right, well, this has now happened. Fuck.
Jesus.
Now, so bringing this back over here, because I just want to like, hey, I want the players to go and like do some downtime of like, let's just go and shoot guns and kill things. So I have a long list of navigate houses. One of them is based around here, and they've basically gone, help us. We are being attacked by aliens. Simple enough. So the players have responded, and they've hopped over here to basically go and deal with it. So they're going to be fighting against 2 alien races that I have made. And that they're going to have to fight them. Let me just get them here. So one is this. And they are effectively, I just want a group of aliens that are, we want to pursue psychic powers above everything else. The hell with the consequences. We will take as many humans, we will sacrifice them, and we will grow in power. We don't care. But they don't necessarily have the power to go fight. And that's where these guys are going to come in.
Impressive.
So they are techno-barbarians. Well, that designated as that, but basically they go and they raid the Adeptus Mechanicus for goodies.
Yep.
So these two have shown up to basically raid this place. And the players have shown up to stop them. So, going back to this place, these are the battle lines. They've got to be like, oh, we're going to send down these flyers and all these other things. I'm like, yeah, that's neat. That you're not the only flyers there. Yes, there is a AA guns from this area, but this port over here has been taken over. And that port has got big guns.
Holy shit.
Yeah. They're going to turn these guns over, and they're going to lay siege towards this place, and more importantly, the monastery. So we're going to be having urban combats that I've made out, that I just need to basically flesh out a bit more with soldiers that they can have fun with.
Mm-hmm.
I need to finish this place here. And then I've got, I've got a bridge if they want to. Because they're like, oh, let's bomb this bridge. I'm like, cool, you can go and do that. That's fine. The whole point of this group is that they're not idiotic, which means they've got AA guns. Not AA guns, but like ground-to-air missiles that they can launch against the enemy. And then, open fields where they can do agricultural or like fight. Yeah. That is what I'm up to.
And I assume that this Corsair Prince has probably got some long-term goal in mind beyond just ravaging, because there's usually something more to than with the Eldar.
So there is. Right now there is what I call for the Dead Voidmen arriving in. Basically, the Badab sector is nearby. Chaos is taking an interest. They're like, all right, well, we need to do. Not that they need to do something, but they're basically like, well, this used to be a lovely place for us to just exist. We could raid to it was all content. Now it's about to become a clusterfuck. We need to kick the hornet's nest with the Imperium, get them over here. They will wipe out all these other ones. We will get revenge, and they will start the whole mass war as they start descending down. The idea is that they want to initiate the powder kick, and I need to roll whether their intelligence is good enough, because the Trade Federation, the Eldar need them to. The Eldar basically wants them to go to war with the Imperium, because then it all sort of collapses down. Basically, they're there to cause as much anarchy and logistical nightmares as they can.
Oh, why wouldn't you want to?
Yeah.
Oh man. So, sorry. Yeah, I had heard of the Shrix before, although I didn't know what their name was. It was just hearing in passing that there's a there's a 40k version of the Skaven.
Yeah.
But yeah. I like your take on them.
Thank you.
Far more entertaining. It feels more classical Warhammer 40k, when things were just thrown out bonkers. Again, I use this analogy often, but the way the orcs used to be.
Yeah.
So much more fun. Just insane, fungi, red makes everything go faster because we believe red makes everything go faster. Just insane boys. I love them. Oh man. But yeah, it was quite entertaining.
That's good.
Yeah. Did they end up fixing the situation with the Necrons? Or did they just bug out?
So they more or less left the Necrons to like run around, see what they could find. Necrons couldn't find anything, so they went like, okay, let's go back down to standby, but be alert. And they left it at that. So the Necrons aren't going out harvesting because they're like, we can't see what's going on. They haven't sent out any signals that the players are aware of. So right now things are sort of like died down, and the players are going, we're just going to step away while nothing's happened and move away and go and deal with all the problems. So as it stands, the Inquisition's basically gone, right, well, we need to do proper orc purging of this orc. Like, we've beaten their front line, they're now run away, they're rallying, but that's why he's bringing in like 15 Death Watch Space Marines to basically like, right, we need 2 groups to go and deal with this, another group to go and deal with that, and depending on how soon the players decide to tell him about the Necrons, he's going to need to deal with that as well. But right now, he's going to be doing targeted assassinations, cause internal fighting with the orcs, and basically allow that to sort of like spiral into its own problem. And the rival rogue trader is going to sweep in and basically go, I declare ultimate victory thanks to me. I have done all of this. I'm now going to claim half of the map and make it mine.
Oh, you snooze, you lose.
There is going to be like a huge surge of like requests for navigator charts from the players, because they did jump halfway across the sector, pick someone up, and then jumped all the way out right in front of the rival rogue trader. So all of these supporters are like, "Oh, this other group seems to have a really good navigator house. Let's get some of their star charts." It's also going to be a symbol where one of the other faction leaders is going to go, well, I think I'm going to be jumping ship because I don't like the rival rogue trader. That's all about war and exploiting the system. I'm going to try and see if I can get something that's a bit better for my future. But what they're going to be proposing is that they take the sector and they carve it into 3 mini kingdoms. One's for the established aristocracy, one's where the players get to control, and the third one's going to be for the trade federation. So it's like free, and free. But then everyone has to have like their own imperial navy, their own sort of like form of governance, and then they also like go up towards the sector. What's it called? Sector governor. So that's what they're going to be proposing. The players actually want to take half of the map and make it theirs. Their proposal for that is to basically get the Trade Federation to sign a treaty that makes the players their leaders. I've got they've actually written out the treaty if you're interested. You can bring that up on the screen.
Yeah.
Zoom in because I don't like how it's set up. So basically, they want to do a whole like vassalization without declaring them a vassal state. But this goes on for like 8 pages as well. So just as a heads up. So they will be protected and have external sovereignty by the players under their warrant of trade, and granted to be direct and express authority of the which was given to them by the imperial regent. Yada yada yada. Imperial facing legal proposals. They are the lawful external sovereign patron and protector of the recognized territories of the Trade Federation, with the rights, duties, and obligations to fall under them and their trade, or their warrant of trade. They recognize that the HTF, as it's called, they've got their own borders, all this. Like they go, you can continue running the way that you want to, and that you keep overseeing it how you want. You have to obey by imperial law at all time. See, this part here is like, it's one of those areas where I'm like, okay, I need to sit down and like with a fine pen basically go like, okay, this needs to be clarified. Because you can easily be like, open rebellions, proven heresy, see no collaboration, refusal of imperial obligations, blah blah blah. Like that's where the players can basically step in and overrule them. See, unless. See, this part is basically like if you claim a new territory outside of your subsector, if we deem that it's not being managed properly, we will be able to take over. It says jointly, yeah, it's. It goes on and on. Trade access, like they're basically going to say like, hey, we are going to give you access to the wider Imperium, exposure to other navigator houses, help repair your political standing, so on and so on.
You know what you might enjoy doing?
One.
Reading the Australian Constitution.
Okay.
Purely because there's interesting stuff in there. And I'm going to throw this one out there just for your amusement.
Yeah.
Because, and context is key. This was 1901, right? So, Australia was still part of the British Empire, but it served as the British capital in this region of the world. So, within the Australian Constitution, there is still clauses for Australia to claim other nations like New Zealand in the event of a government collapse or in service to the monarchy or the empire. Since 1901, there's been 8 amendments to the Australian Constitution, and that has never been one of them.
That's funny.
And I don't know what it was up earlier, but something I saw just reminded me of that.
Yeah, it was to do with the handling of that. But like there's some other things here that where I'm picking up. And there's one part where they basically say, "Oh, the local navigator is respected and all of their work is to continue." And then there's another clause that's snuck in where they basically go, the dynasty can, at their own will, determine if something is not being run properly to supplement it with a navigator house of their choosing.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, there are like a bunch of good things that the group does want, but it's just the whole thing of like the faction's going to be like, okay, well, we outperform you by how much we produce. We've got a bigger navy than you, although it's tied down fighting orcs, and we have more navigators and more tonnage than you. You don't really like the only thing that they're really able to sort of do is like, hey, we've got a warrant of trade. We can get you access to all of these other things, but we now need to go. You get self-governance, but you answer to us. It's one of those things like the entire faction exists because they want the right to self-rule, and they want to pay their taxes to people that are not going to be fucked them over. Like they want to pay directly to the Imperium and the previous sector governor and the previous Navy basically was screwing them over. Intelligence is showing a bunch of orc. Yeah, there's. So Coldstone's again like alien stuff that's been showing up in this area. Which is a bit of a problem because this faction does go out and like they find alien technology, hand it over to their mechanicus, who reverse engineer it to make better weapons for Imperial weaponry.
Hey, it's good enough for the Emperor to do.
Yeah, there's just trying to find it. I can't remember where it was before, but like there's one of the clauses that basically says that like any disputes, I think it might be here, you can't, like all disputes has to be addressed first between the faction and the dynasty before they're allowed to escalate it to anyone higher than the players. So yeah.
Although,
and again, this is me cutting in here, but I would definitely not have put it in the clause for them to have essentially been able to contact various other Imperium divisions, because if they're going to request to go over the rogue trader's house, it should be having to go to their superior, which, because they're a rogue trader, you would have to personally send a request to Gilliman.
Yeah.
Which the bureaucracy involved in that alone would be a century-long nightmare.
It is indeed. Like that's what the Badab War was about, because they actually sent through like, hey, we need to get this done. Let's go through the proper channels. Sent people to Terra. They waited there for like years before they were allowed to make their case. They made their case. It was rejected. They then reviewed it, revised it, came back, waited more years to like get it presented again, and did more and more concessions to the point where it was like, we just need anything, just a commitment to something, and they didn't get it. So that was like 20 years of a legal battle going backwards and forwards, all the while they had to go and deal with that. But yeah, the players are going to have to. This is what the players want to do, and we'll see how it all works out.
Yeah. Oh dear.
I am afraid I'm probably going to have to start sneaking out to the stage.
That's right. It's getting close to 12:30 anyway, so
yeah,
it's a good time to wrap up. So I mean, hopefully next week or the week after, I'll be hopefully pumping out new videos. So that'd be good. Yeah.
Nice.
You got anything going on?
I don't. Like, as it stands, my Saturday and Sunday group are demanding so much of my spare free time.
Mhm.
I don't have time to do anything else.
Um,
Which it's got its perks, it's got its negatives. I'm sort of like just asking myself, like, okay, well, what do I want to do long term? Because I know, like, after this Rogue Shader game, I'm gonna need a break. I think I'm gonna take like 2 or 3 months off to see where I'm gonna land on that.
How's your idea plotting along for a Shadowrun game where runners work for
Work with Steam.
Steam?
It's coming together in my head. I haven't really put any pencil to paper at the moment. I think what I may end up doing is doing like a series of like one shots that we can do.
Mhm.
And I'll just be like, here you are, and we're not gonna do like XP or like anything major like that. It's just gonna be like, you're not gonna go and deal with this. It will just be funny things like go and burn down this place. A data center's been pumped up because it's going to make bots that's going to spam in the CSGO markets and things like that. Like it's just gonna be like random stupid things that's been done in the gaming industry. But it's like, hey, you're now Shadowrun. Let's go and deal with this.
Midway through taking out a bot farming center, it's like, we have an emergency case. A account has been hacked. We need you to go take care of the hackers with lethal force. What else?
I was like, yeah, we do not compromise the safety of our players.
Has HR already been informed? Of course. Ooh, excellent.
They authorized it.
Explosives it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's like randomly later that night, an apartment building just explodes in a massive ball, and it's like, we got the guy and all of his neighbors.
It's all right. They were Epic Game Store players. Nothing of value was lost.
Exactly. It's okay. They supported AI.
Oh, dear. Kind of that.
Alrighty. Well, on that note, thanks for watching, or I don't know, whatever. I hope it was entertaining for everyone, or no one. Yeah.
Someone, at least for us.
Yes, it was indeed entertaining for us. So we will see you next week.